Don't be too upset about the House. There are at least a dozen Democrats who won in House districts who have already disavowed any allegiance to Nancy Pelosi. Why does this matter to you? Granted, would I rather have had the rhinos in there? Yes, that ship has sailed. They lost. I already told you running as a rhino is a mistake. Told you about my race. But having a bunch of moderate Democrats in there who have already publicly pledged not to support Pelosi for Speaker creates a fascinating conundrum for the left. Nancy Pelosi is, for all of her ridiculous ideological positions, they did a lot of devious stuff. You'll have to pass it till you can find out what's in it. Here's the problem. These people are now on the record, these Democrats, detaching themselves from Pelosi. They are in very, very swingy districts. I'm going to get back to this Trump thing in a second in 2020, why this matters. Pelosi is shrewd, ladies and gentlemen. She is going to push these dozen Democrats, I assure you, into political suicide. I guarantee it. There will be votes coming up, I'm assured, I'm almost positive, for stupid things like impeachment, repealing the tax cuts. She is going to pressure a lot of these dozen Democrats who barely squeaked by taking out incumbent Republicans in swingy districts into taking stupid votes. Some of them may hold out, Joe. I promise Pelosi will put the squeeze on. Some of them will not. What does that mean? This is why I don't want you to fret too much today and get back in the fight. Back in the fight instantly. No breaks, no time off. I'm sorry, this isn't Valley Forge. We're not eating shoe leather. Life is good. It's worth defending. Now, not tomorrow. These Democrat candidates in swingy districts will now have votes on the record. Those votes will be probably for impeachment, for the repeal of the tax cuts, for a doubling down on Obamacare. Ladies and gentlemen, when the 2020 race comes and these swingy districts, the ones we lost in Pennsylvania, the ones we lost in Virginia, the ones we lost in California. Yes, California has very swingy districts down there, especially in the southern part. Folks, when the ballot comes in 2020, who is at the top? Donald J. Trump. Donald Trump did not have the opportunity to go and listen to me. This is an important point. This is why I want to close on this today. Donald Trump did not have the opportunity to campaign for 200 plus members of the House of Representatives. He didn't. Now, let's be fair. There were probably 30 plus in swingy districts. Donald Trump could not go out and campaign single-handedly for 30 plus people. He couldn't. It is not logistically possible. The White House has too much going on. I know, I worked there for 5 years. He would have been on the road every day for 6 months doing that. So in triaging his time, they decided to save the Senate, which he did. He put his political capital on the line, and he won. Now, not having that association with Donald Trump in Pennsylvania, in Virginia, in California, where the top of the ticket, people were not really inspired. I'm not knocking these guys. I just sent out a tweet last night. I said, God bless anyone who puts their name on a ballot. It takes a lot of nerve. I'm just saying, as evidenced by the losses, that candidates just didn't inspire voters. I'm sorry. The people at the top of the tickets in those races did not get their vote out. They will not be at the top of the ticket in 2020. Even if they run again, there will be someone on top. Donald Trump, meaning the attachment will be on the ballot. Meaning all those Trump voters that didn't show up because they weren't inspired by their House of Reps candidate or their Senate candidate running at the top of or their gubernatorial candidate will now show up for Trump and hopefully will tick off the lever below for the Republicans down below as well. What I'm suggesting to you is combine these two things. And Joe, if this doesn't make sense, as the audience ombudsman, please step in here. There are two things that will be different in 2020. The Democrats that won and beat these Republicans in these swingy districts that flipped the House. That's all that happened. The Republicans held all the districts. Most of them they should have held. Almost all of them. The swingy ones they lost. It was a rout. The people running had no record. They weren't in office. The Democrats were the challengers. Pelosi is going to get them on the record because that's what she does. She is a pit bull with this stuff. She's going to get them on the record for impeachment, on tax hikes, everything. They are not going to be able to hide behind hope and change, hopey changey, all the stuff Obama did. They're going to have to run on a record. How do you think a record of tax hikes and impeachment is going to play in the swingy suburban districts when Donald Trump voters show up in mass in 2020? The answer is probably pretty crappy. I'm not suggesting the House is going to be won back by the margins we had it before. I'm simply suggesting to you that if we can continue doing the right thing and advocating on conservative principles, there's a damn good chance in 2020 we take a lot, if not all of these seats back. One more note. And it's in a couple of pieces I have in the show notes. Please read them today. Folks, the Senate was rewarded. The Senate was rewarded and McConnell was rewarded. Why? Because Republicans want fighters. They wanted someone to fight. They were inspired by what happened with Lindsey Graham and others in the Kavanaugh fight. They saw the United States Senate finally stand up. Stop playing games. Stop jerking around. The House was not. The Ryan-led House passed a bunch of grotesque spending measures. We have been weak on abortion, on Planned Parenthood funding. The House was not rewarded. I told you before, and I'll say it again. When Republicans act like Republicans, we win. When Republicans act like Democrats, we get smoked. The Senate fought, and the Senate won. The Republican House side caved, and the Republican House side took a bath, although it could have been a lot worse. There's a lesson in there. Let's see if they take the right one. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes,